and some disadvantages of virtual working. For me, work-life balance, it came out in the poll as well. People saying, but I can't unplug. I don't take time off anymore. I work the whole day. My boss sometimes have meetings at 8 in the evening. But we start at 7. I'm back to back. I'm from the one meeting to the other meeting. I can't get my job done. There's distractions. The kids coming in. Electricity going off. We're having to make plans in terms of how do we cope in terms of joining the meetings. For me, too, that stands out is obviously the sense of belonging. We spoke about that. People are feeling disconnected. They feel isolated in terms of that. And that is a big challenge when it comes to our leaders in terms of making that. And then communication. You will think that it's easier with technology. It's actually not. People are, some employees are saying, but we have less communication. It was easier for me to go into my boss's office, jump in there quickly, have a quick chat about something. Now I need to set up a meeting or WhatsApp and here, are you available? Can I come in? And the boss is always in meetings. No, I can't do this afternoon. I'm busy till 6. So I'm struggling with those type of things. And when I start calling my colleagues, I get some of the similar reactions. We are just too busy. So there's actually people looking for that communication, that engagement, that sense to help keep me motivated. And I think employers, and especially leaders, should put more effort into encouraging our remote teams to join conversations. We need to set up more of them, and I'll talk a bit about some of those tips around what we need to do. I'm not even going to talk about accountability. That's also something we need to work on. And then obviously cybersecurity. There's security challenges with the remote working and the levels that we are currently busy with. And that is something that we need to sort out. What I want to share with you is this morning is when I was working with the majority of the leaders over the past 3 months, let's say almost 4 months now, around virtual working, I've started seeing a theme or a trend coming out in terms of what are the leaders of virtual teams actually struggling about. So in theory, virtual teams gives you the opportunity to build a dream team. Low cost, people get trusted, we empower them, we send them out there. They can manage their own time as long as they deliver. Oh, the dream sounds beautiful. But it's in reality, it's not that rosy. It's not that easy. We are struggling with performance and productivity and communication and engagement and what's the yes or no's. This week we worked with a team, it's also one of the bigger organizations, and the big thing that they're struggling with at this stage is etiquette, rules around virtual meetings. What are the rules? When do we put on our cameras? How do we make sure everybody's involved? How do we make sure we don't interrupt each other? How do we make sure we don't lose people? So we're talking about some of the etiquette and that code of conduct stuff around, but how do we engage as a team? And we were working around that. So that was quite an interesting exercise that we did this week in terms of that. And at the end of the day, there's so many different needs that we have to accommodate that somewhere we're going to have to sit down and say, but how do we do this? And get to just some ground rules in terms of this. So we have to structure it. It can't be a total thing. The one challenge that I think leaders are struggling with is their own mindset. It's your own discipline as a leader to switch off, to unplug, to make sure the work-life balance is there, to understand what your own people are going through. The majority of the leaders that we deal with and that I've met with over the last couple of months are really struggling with this thing to unplug. To say, but listen, I'm working harder actually. I'm sleeping at the office. My kids is an irritation because I need to shout at them all the time. I need to keep the door closed. The stress is piling up. So I think when it comes to virtual teams, it's just sitting back and saying, but how do I cope with this? How do I feel around this? Because we're so focused on our employees and the teams around there that we sometimes not sit back and say, but am I okay? For me, that's a starting point when you're starting to be a good virtual leader. Just sit back and say, okay, where am I? What's my discipline? One of the leaders now says at 4 o'clock, I put an out of office notice in my email box and say, guys, until 6 o'clock, no emails, no calls. I'm not going to respond because that's time when I spend with my kids. I go for a jog, I have dinner with my family, and then I will come back at 6 to 7. But that's it. And that works for him. But it's that discipline that you need to bring in. It's so easy to schedule meetings and we're trying to fit everything in every day that we start at 7. I had a meeting this week where the leader actually wanted to meet at 6. And I said, yo, I'm really love your energy and stuff, but at 6 o'clock, I mean, that's crazy, man. Why would you do that? Yeah, but otherwise I can't get through my day. So it's about also pushing back a little bit and standing up for ourselves and saying, listen, stop. One thing I think that we are missing, I'm getting it from, we spoke about commuting is one of the advantages about virtual teams, but I also think one of the disadvantages is the fact that we commuted. But I also sometimes think we miss that me time. When I sat in the car, I could make some calls, I could listen to some music, I could be with my own thoughts. So I think people are now filling those traveling time with meetings and stuff, and it's getting tough. I've got 2 or 3 senior leaders in the last 2-3 weeks that really was close on burnout. And the burnout was just stress related in terms of so many meetings and so many stuff every day. Everybody wants a piece of them. So leaders, you need to think about your own mindset and your own discipline. The other one is obviously virtual communication. Communication gets muddled if we don't meet face to face. And face-to-face means we've got all this lovely technology, but I know of 90% of people that don't even switch on their video. So actually what we're doing is we're having a meeting over the telephone, because if we don't put on our video, we're actually on a call. That's a telephone call. And some people say, yeah, but I don't have makeup on. And other people say, yeah, but I'm sitting under my duvet. And other people are saying, yeah, but I haven't combed my hair. It's okay. But the fact that we don't put on our videos just enhances that thing of collaboration going backwards, that engagement. We need to see each other. I know we can't touch each other, and sometimes I get people touching the screen, but we need to engage, and we work on facial expressions. When I see you, I can see what's going on. I read your cues. I pick up on certain things. All those things drive engagement. So leaders are really struggling in terms of this virtual communication. And we need to address that. You need to make sure that virtual communication it flows like that. There's a free flow of communication. That the meetings we have, even if we don't put our cameras on the whole time, but we switch it on just to say hi and engage a bit, and then people can put it off again. Or when we say goodbye, we switch all on and we can wave to each other. Those are the type of things that we need to start doing. And making sure that it's a relaxed atmosphere. I know there's work to be done, but are we doing check-ins? Are we starting our meetings with the agenda saying, point 1, or are we starting and saying, listen guys, how are you doing? Is there any issues that we need to do? There's so much stuff going on in people's lives. How are we communicating virtually and paying some attention, close attention to our relationship building and making sure that we really value individuals and people? So that's one of the challenges that leaders I find struggling with is to communicate freely and have it in a flow and a bit more relaxed. It all seems so very tense because I have to get it done in 40 minutes, or I've got 30 minutes for this, or we only have 1 hour because I have a hard stop. It's a word that I'm starting to hate, is when people say, guys, I have a hard stop at 11 o'clock because my next one stops. Or you sit waiting for people and the one flows over the other one. So that virtual communication is something that I think the leaders are struggling with. Trust is obviously a big thing. I have a lot of leaders that talk to me and says, I can't trust what I can't see. If there's a lack of face-to-face communication, it's difficult for me to trust people. Don't know why, but trust is key in every relationship. So leaders are really struggling with trust and how to build the trust. They're worried about productivity. It's a challenge. It's a challenge about, are people doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are they utilizing the day well enough? Those are the questions that we're getting. And leaders are really struggling in terms of, and how do I make sure that people use that time wisely? Because I can't check. I can't look over the shoulder. I can't look up and see, but people are working. I don't have people coming into my office asking questions. But on the other hand, certain employees, I think, are close to burnout. They've got a risk of burnout because there's no boundaries and they don't know when to stop. So they also have the same problem in terms of just keep on going. And I think eventually, as you get too much, you start doing less. So that is one of the challenges that I'm picking up. It's hard to maintain relationships, socializing, guys. Humans are social beings. We like chatting, we like banter, we like water cooler conversations. I said it already. But as a virtual team member, we aren't interacting with our co-workers, and that kills team spirit. So leaders are really struggling to keep that team spirit going, that collaboration that we've built, that teamness, that culture that we're trying to promote. And organizations are really starting to sit back and say, but what is happening to our culture? Organizations got a certain culture. People buy into that culture. It makes us who we are. It gives us our identity. And I think some of that are some of the challenges in terms of if we don't focus on our people and putting them in and focus on collaboration and engagement and those type of things virtually. I think if we don't get enough contact, collaboration goes down, but people also start feeling demotivated. And then obviously the last one I think that I picked up as a challenge is low morale, mental health. Because of staying home, guys, staying home is lekker. You can sit in your pajamas, but because of that, because of the little interaction we have socially with friends, with colleagues for long periods, it will impact our mental health. I'm not going to go into that conversation, but we have to realize that people mentally struggle, and it impacts everything else. It not only impacts your virtual employees, the health and mood, but also impacts eventually communication, collaboration. People start becoming quiet on meetings. People start not engaging, not taking the effort anymore. And collaboration and communication are the two critical things when it comes to remote teams. If you want to be a great leader, my advice is communication and collaboration. Those are the two things. And if I'm not lucky about where much space I'm in, it does impact those things. So those are some of the 5 challenges that I've picked up over the last couple of months that leaders are really struggling with. And I've also realized that there's certain requirements in terms of our own abilities and our own skills as leaders